A Texan in the White House. The Unlikely Journey of Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon Baines Johnson rose from humble beginnings in the Texas Hill Country to the Oval Office. His presidency was marked by remarkable achievements and profound controversies. Johnson's story reflects the complexities of the man in the turbulent times. Born in 1908, Johnson experienced rural hardships firsthand. His journey took him from Texas to Washington, D.C. He left an indelible mark on American history. Johnson enacted sweeping social reforms. He championed education, civil rights, and economic opportunity. His great society aimed for a just and equitable society. But his presidency was consumed by the Vietnam conflict. The war overshadowed his domestic achievements. Johnson's legacy is intertwined with both triumphs and tragedies. From Hill Country Schoolhouse to the halls of Congress. Lyndon Johnson's early life was shaped by rural Texas. Born in Stonewall, he learned hard work and perseverance. His parents instilled ambition and the power of education. Johnson's education began in a one-room schoolhouse. He excelled in his studies. Johnson attended Southwest Texas State Teachers College. Teaching fueled his passion for social justice. In 1931, Johnson became a congressional aide. He quickly rose through the ranks. In 1937, Johnson won a special election to Congress. He established himself as a skilled legislator. Johnson fought for rural electrification and social programs. His early years in Congress laid the foundation for future success. Master of the Senate Johnson's legislative prowess. Johnson's rise in the political arena continued in 1948 when he was elected to the United States Senate. In the Senate, Johnson's legendary legislative skills came to the fore. He possessed a deep understanding of the intricacies of the legislative process and a remarkable ability to build consensus among his colleagues. Known for his persuasive charm and his sometimes intimidating personality, Johnson earned the nickname Master of the Senate. He understood the importance of building relationships, even with those who held opposing views. His ability to negotiate, compromise, and find common ground proved essential in advancing his legislative agenda. During his time as Senate Majority Leader, from 1955 to 1961, Johnson played a pivotal role in shaping the nation's domestic policy. He shepherded through Congress landmark legislation, including the Civil Rights Act of 1957 and the Civil Rights Act of 1960. These acts represented significant steps forward in the fight for racial equality, dismantling legal barriers to voting and desegregation. Johnson's legislative achievements cemented his reputation as a master politician. He understood the art of the possible, navigating the complexities of the Senate with unmatched skill and determination. His success in passing meaningful legislation would foreshadow his ambitious agenda as president. Section 4. A Nation in Mourning, Stepping into the Presidency. In 1960, John F. Kennedy chose Lyndon Johnson as his running mate. Despite their political differences, Kennedy recognized Johnson's legislative experience and his deep understanding of the workings of government. The Kennedy-Johnson ticket emerged victorious, and Johnson assumed the role of vice president. On November 22, 1963, tragedy struck Dallas, Texas. President Kennedy was assassinated, and Lyndon Johnson was thrust into the presidency in the most tumultuous of circumstances. The nation mourned the loss of its young leader, and Johnson faced the daunting task of uniting a grieving nation and guiding it through a period of profound uncertainty. Johnson, deeply affected by Kennedy's assassination, vowed to honor his predecessor's legacy by enacting the slain president's legislative agenda. He used his considerable political skills to rally Congress and the nation behind him, calling for unity and a renewed commitment to social progress. In the wake of the assassination, Johnson delivered a moving address to a joint session of Congress, declaring, "Let us continue." With those words, he signaled his determination to carry on Kennedy's work and to lead the nation forward. At Section 5, The Great Society, a Vision of Social Upliftment. Lyndon Johnson's presidency was defined by his ambitious domestic agenda, which he dubbed the Great Society. Building on the legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal, Johnson's Great Society sought to address poverty, inequality, and racial injustice. He believed that government had a moral obligation to create a more just and equitable society for all Americans. The Great Society encompassed a wide range of social programs and initiatives. Johnson declared a war on poverty, launching programs such as Head Start, which provided early childhood education to disadvantaged children, and Job Corps, which offered job training and educational opportunities to young people. In the realm of healthcare, Johnson signed into law Medicare and Medicaid, expanding access to medical care for the elderly and the poor. He also championed environmental protection, signing legislation to establish national parks in wilderness areas and to address air and water pollution. Johnson's commitment to civil rights was unwavering. He worked tirelessly to pass the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. He also signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which removed barriers to voting for African Americans. Section 6. Mired in Vietnam, the Shadow of War. As Johnson pursued his ambitious domestic agenda, the Vietnam War cast an increasingly long shadow over his presidency. The war, which had begun during the Eisenhower administration, escalated dramatically under Johnson's leadership. American involvement in Vietnam divided the nation, sparking widespread protests and fueling social unrest. Johnson, determined to prevent the spread of communism in Southeast Asia, committed American troops to combat in Vietnam. He believed that American military might was necessary to contain communist aggression and to protect American interests. However, the war proved to be a costly and protracted conflict with no easy solutions. As the war dragged on, American casualties mounted, and public support for the war dwindled. Anti-war protests grew in size and intensity, and Johnson faced mounting criticism for his handling of the war. The conflict in Vietnam took a heavy toll on Johnson's presidency, diverting attention from his domestic achievements and eroding his political capital. In 1968, facing a deeply divided nation and a growing anti-war movement, Johnson made the difficult decision not to seek re-election. He left office with his presidency tarnished by the Vietnam War, but his legacy as a social reformer remained intact. Section 7. A Complex Legacy, Triumphs and Tragedies. Lyndon B. Johnson's legacy is one of remarkable achievements and profound contradictions. He expanded civil rights, combated poverty, and improved healthcare and education. His Great Society programs transformed millions of lives. However, the Vietnam War overshadowed his domestic achievements. The war left a lasting scar on the American psyche. Johnson's legacy is complex, deserving both admiration and scrutiny.